The day's date is June 12th, 1998. The Space Shuttle Discovery landed at Cape Canaveral, Florida, back from space.
Oh, wow.
What was it was Explorer, right? That was the name of the
generic ISP
the one
name for it.
This TV show.
From you guys remember like 3 episodes ago?
Right.
The wild ride we've been on.
Trying not to.
Magic Johnson is on the cover of TV Guide to promote a late night talk show that I doubt anyone knew existed.
What was it?
It was his show. Like Magic Johnson had a show that was in theory going to compete with the Conans of the world, and nope. Man. Hitting the movie theaters at the same time on the same day are the pretty good film Can't Hardly Wait, which is the first feature film appearance from Jason Segel, and the pretty bad film Dirty Work, which is the last film appearance of Chris Farley.
Oh man.
What a bookend of 2 eras of comedy that we are all we lived through both, and lucky us, really.
Wow. Well, way to bring it down. I'm getting an apartment. Don't worry, I'm not leaving the show.
I've been looking for the winning way to describe myself.
Welcome to episode 210 of Family Matters, season 9, episode 17. This is Jumping the Shuttle. We watch every episode of Family Matters backwards. Today we're watching Polkapalooza.
Ooh, baby.
You guys got your tickets? You got your tickets yet?
I have bad
sold out.
I have bad feelings about Polkapalooza's existence in the year of COVID. I don't think that Polkapalooza, the biggest polka event in Chicago, had quite the impact when they went fully virtual and you had to have your Second Life character polka around with somebody else who has made it their avatar Dr. Teeth.
What are the smaller Polkapaloozas happening in Chicago?
They make a very distinct
Right.
point that this is the biggest.
Yeah,
This is the best.
how much competition do
There
they have?
has to be some.
Yeah. Too much competition.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you gotta put an asterisk on it and be like, and only. It's the only one as well. But.
Right. Technically, we are the best Family Matters podcast, but that is literally
Right.
only because we have no competition right now. As soon as anyone else puts 2 seconds of thought into doing a real Family Matters podcast, we shoot to the number 2 slot.
What are we going to do when Jaleel White starts one?
Ooh.
I mean, he's pretty active online, as is Darius McCrary, who plays Eddie.
Yeah.
And both of them have a pretty strong social media presence and are making videos all the time. It would not be beyond the realm of possibility that in time for a reunion show or a special where they film another episode or miniseries, that they do some correlating podcasts, and it will probably be really good because both of those guys are really entertaining and have a lot more insight into the show, I think, than we do.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
it might, guys. I think I'm sorry, but I think it might probably be better than our podcast.
Well, all we can hope is that we get in lots and lots of good content before that ever happens. So rather than delay another second, let's jump in to episode 210 of Family Matters. Polkapalooza starts with Laura borrowing Eddie's non-police jacket, which is really confusing because they just established in the episode we watched last week that he has a police jacket, but I guess he also just leaves a non-police jacket around the house.
And I checked. This does not come up again throughout the entire episode. The only possible reason is to establish that Eddie still lives here and leaves stuff around.
Well, and also to have the cheapest laugh ever, because she goes, "Eddie, can I borrow your jacket?" "Thanks," immediately. Ha ha ha. She didn't really ask for his consent. She stole his jacket.
But that's it.
Hilarious. But the craziest thing is, like, this is another episode that really plays with time, and not in like flashbacks with flashbacks level, but still, we have no idea other than Polkapalooza happens. I think they say a Friday, right? So beyond that, we have no idea how many days are passing between the events of the different things. Eddie comes in. The first time we see Eddie in this episode, he's wearing that jacket, and it's night rather than day, so some time has passed, but it could have been a week. It could have been an hour. I really don't know.
This episode only tells time by dishes.
So true. You know how
we will get to that.
How in olden times you had to make a water clock to be able to tell how much time had passed in a day? If you have Carl Winslow around, you can tell by dishes. We get our first big through the door cheer. Really, the only proper one, I think, in this episode is for Urkel, and he is absolutely in lederhosen. Bright yellow lederhosen, which is, I guess, to illustrate he's wacky, but also if you needed another way to make him stand out from a polka crowd later in the episode, other than he is one of two black men in this entire room and it's filled with honkies, there's the number of German and German related jokes that, like, I know that there were books. This was like a legit thing for a while, was you would have like books with Polish people jokes, much in the way that there was like blonde people jokes for forever. And does a German people joke book exist? Because they break out so many in this episode.
I don't even know.
The first one is that Laura asks if Urkel has been fixing cuckoo clocks again. Ha 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 ha. Who cares? He says he's getting ready for Polkapalooza. You would think he wouldn't want to risk his outfit getting dirty earlier, but then we don't get the visual humor of him wearing a ridiculous lederhosen outfit.
And when he comes in, he does this thing that literally, like, triggered something in my brain that has been dormant for decades. When he comes in, he does this laugh. He goes, it's like hee hee. And I was like, oh my God, like I sat up cold in my seat as if I woke up from a sweaty dream. I was like, I'm having PTSD.
Is that your text tone now? Yeah.
Every time any of us in the podcast thread message each other about, hey, I uploaded that new thing to the Google Drive.
This show it's already taking up too much of our lives. I don't need another reminder.
No such thing. No such thing.
Oh, but I remember, like, this is part of his catchphrase, which we've still never heard. I specifically remember, did I do that? Hee hee.
Holy macaroni!
And I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind or I'm gaining more? Like, I took the Limitless drug and all I got was Steve Urkel's snort laugh.
It is
a gift.
They actually reference it later in this episode. Another, I think Maxine brings it up, and it's so distinct that me having practically no experience with this episode other than just knowing Urkel from pop culture, I knew exactly what she was talking about when she talked about the snort laugh. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And so, yeah, I can see how, I mean, it's not, like you're saying, it's not something that carries over and that I think about associating with Urkel, but as soon as I hear it referenced, I'm like, oh, that's classic Urkel. I know what that is.
Yeah.
I guess I can't tell if polka is classic Urkel. Like, I understand, okay, this is a weird thing, especially for a black person to do, which is basically all the jokes for the rest of the episode. It's weird, period. Liking polka is a weird thing, like beyond Weird Al or making stray references to John Candy's character in Home Alone.
You beat me to it, Alex. I was going to say it might come as a surprise, but I'm not an avid polka listener. And yeah, my only experience with it has been through the genius of Weird Al. That's it.
Yeah, man. We saw Weird Al together.
That's right. That was a fantastic show.
Yeah. That was Weird Al Bad Hair Day, I think was legit my first CD.
Oh, that's much better than the Christian rap group that I got for my first CD. Because are you down with the DC talk? Because I was when I was a young child.
Oh, no.
Good boy.
No.
So Urkel describes Polkapalooza as the Woodstock of polka, which seems
okay, I'm glad we're getting
like
to
a
this.
mistake.
I'm very, very glad we're getting to this. Are we on the same page right now?
Please say why you're upset with it, because I think it's the exact same reason.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So
I just got it, too.
This is a big question corner
Okay.
here.
I have a question.
So he calls Polkapalooza the Woodstock of polka. And my question is, we know where we're going with this. Why doesn't he say it's the Lollapalooza of polka?
Now,
Why? We all look, Lollapalooza was already a
Yes.
thing in the 90s. It exists.
absolutely true. Now,
Why? It doesn't make any sense
in the
that he doesn't call it that.
I had the exact same thought. I have the exact same note in my notes from this episode. Now, in the slightest bit of defense for this episode and the writers, who this is the first one I actually didn't look up the writers. Whoops, I don't care. Lollapalooza, which started in 1991, ran continuously through 1997, where they took a break because of unstable music industry people, and it was revived in 2003 and then continued after that. So this is technically during the break,
No.
but they have also
don't
referenced
care.
cereals that have been out of circulation for over 10 years at this point. No excuses.
But why else would it be called Polkapalooza? You know,
of course.
It's got Palooza in the name.
Crazy. The rest of this, they put as much thought into the rest of the like jokes and German names as Polkapalooza, as Stosh Kibitz and the Kibitones are going to be making an appearance here. That's funny because it's funny sounding words. Ha ha ha. It did occur to me at this point, though, looking at the polka outfit, this is one of the flashbacks I think we see in Pop Goes the Question during that closing credits montage.
Whoa, crazy. So it's a flashback to like 3 episodes ago?
Yes, it's so weird. I mean, this visually stands out, obviously, wearing German outfits and like this is a distinct thing, but this isn't like the good old days when that episode happens.
Right,
it just happened.
Well, that's why too, Alex, when you say you don't know, what do you say? You don't know how strange this is for Urkel to be going to this
I don't
festival?
know if like polka specifically is an established love of Urkel's, or if it's just we're relying on the Urkel weird factor.
Yeah, so saying that it's that this is a flashback, like we see this as a flashback later in the season. I don't know. I'm getting the sense that like there's just a lot of one-offs that happen throughout the run of this show where we see Urkel do something and we just never see him do it again. Maybe.
But I did notice one interesting, like, I call forward, I guess, but it doesn't matter. When
let's
dive into this.
Let's get right into it.
Tenet the shit out of this. When Steve comes back for his weekend home between training and going to space, because that's a thing that people do. Loris mentions that they went to a polka hall and she like had fun. And I thought it was like, oh, it's so interesting that they kind of seeded that she really doesn't want to go to a polka hall. And then like a couple weeks later, she's like, oh yeah, we're doing this fun thing. Way to go.
Yeah, she's extremely resistant to going to Polkapalooza for all the reasons that she ought to be in reality. And I'm very much Team Laura all the time. She's great. In this episode in particular, I think we get a really great episode, or a really great performance from Kelly S. Williams. But Laura is like, I'm absolutely not going. And Steve makes a fantastic point, which is
Right?
a compromise in this relationship is I'm going to do everything for you all the time, anything that you want to do. But one time a year, you have to come with me and do something that I want to do. And that's 100% legit.
Yeah, that is as it should be.
Yeah.
Yes, he is correct. He's spot on there.
The only thing that's not correct is that she should be giving a little more, probably. But
yeah. As great as Laura is, like, is Steve in particular in an unhealthy relationship? Like, it's all give and no take.
They're both in a really unhealthy relationship, but for totally different reasons. And I don't think that they cancel each other out and make it a good relationship again. But it is the relationship that we have to stick with. Although, again, I feel like I have to say it every episode, she is legally engaged to another man. Who is another man, and we know this. Because he's in Milan.
I don't remember any of this. Can we run it back?
No, absolutely not.
No, this is really important. I'm kidding. I remember. You can actually go to LegalZoom.com/Jafar and you can see all of... sorry, that's a callback to one of our previous episodes. We have established that when Stefan and Laura Lee agreed to be married at Disney World, we established that Jafar is the Disney character that signs the certificate.
When you explain the callbacks.
He is a notary public legally and a CPA. Doesn't come up a lot, but he does have that certification. Carl is playing solitaire. And apparently this is so important that when Eddie comes in and says, "Sorry, I'm late for our gin game," Carl says, "No problem. I passed the time playing solitaire." Who fucking cares? Why are we wasting a single line in this? Like, we are counting down to the end of an era. Almost 10 years of television have gone by. You have no time to waste talking about fucking solitaire.
Well, and you know where my mind goes to anytime anybody says solitaire, but especially when I'm watching a show that takes place in the 90s? It goes to Windows 95 playing solitaire.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I gotta say there's some classic games on that operating system back in the day.
Minesweeper,
Pinball was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my grandparents at the time had a more advanced computer than us because they had Windows 98 when we were still on the 95 system. And my grandmother continued to use that solely as a solitaire machine up until about 2010.
That sounds so real. I believe
100% is real.
Yeah.
When we
I'm not saying I can relate. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a computer in my apartment that I just boot up for solitaire.
When we moved her out of their home and like to be closer to the family so we could take care of them, we we're selling all of this stuff and had somebody look at the computer and like, "Can you use this for parts?" And he was like, "I don't know for what."
Right,
you can't physically take the cards out of the computer.
I can.
I don't know. You can't. You can't take this and put it in an iPhone now.
He's like, I could plug in the fan to something else.
CD-ROM slot and put it in an iPhone.
We did make clear that Math Blaster was still installed, so if that was a feature that helped sell it, it's available.
Oh man.
Okay.
But yeah, when he's playing solitaire with actual cards, my mind just immediately went, why aren't you boot up the computer? It comes preloaded.
It was, this whole scene is kind of bizarre, especially because of a note that I started making here, but put at the end of my notes just in case it ever became irrelevant. So at the end of the episode, I just have a note that says, "No Harriet?" Question mark, question mark.
Right, yeah.
No mom this episode.
Does that mean
3J.
maybe it's a...
I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I'm not going to look ahead.
It could be a transition.
I have that thought for sure, but there's absolutely no mom presence at all, which is especially weird because the whole point of this scene is Eddie has come home and apparently does still live there despite the fact that he's with the police academy now. And over the game of gin, he reveals that he wants to move out and has in fact already signed a lease on an apartment in the city and is ready to go.
It seemed weird that he wouldn't lead with that. It was it was kind of like a gotcha, because he starts out by saying he's looking for apartments, and then he ends up with saying, "Oh, I already got one." Why wouldn't you lead with that? Just go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off and be like, I got a place.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know.
Also, I envy that apartment search, because at least in LA,
Dude.
there's no way you're looking for an apartment and then you get one that exact same day. It's not possible.
He got an apartment that same day. And again, this is just further evidence that the people who are creating this show have no idea of space because they continually talk about how small it is. That's a fucking big apartment for like downtown Chicago. And he has like, I was totally stymied by that.
Also, when he says that he got the apartment, I wonder if you guys had the same feeling. He says, "I'll be back every week to borrow money."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, is this a not the mama situation?
Not the mama.
I'm getting an apartment. Don't worry, I'm not leaving the show.
Oh no, that's not the thought I had. The thought I actually had was, you are going to be back every week. Number one, because this is a weekly show and you have to be. And number two, that we've seen him do laundry multiple times back at the family home. And apparently that was a really short running gag because it happened like twice, I think. And now he's moving out. The other thought I had during this scene was, I guess gin is like a more family... They're gambling over this game of gin. There's a whole brouhaha about, let's gamble for the TV. No way.
No,
but
it's the TV.
That's an important thing. It's a distinction between something being extreme, which is hardcore, and the genre of music, which is hardcore. I
have a buddy that says Halloween instead of Halloween.
That should be illegal.
You can say that it's me. It's fine. You don't have to.
I know this guy.
I'm kidding.
John Snott, we would not let him podcast with us if we thought he was going to embarrass us in that fashion. But so I don't understand anything, but in particular, why are they not playing poker? Is that like, is there like a network rule, like a standards and practices thing? Like they can't be playing poker on this thing? And it occurred to me as I was making that note that there's a whole like poker polka joke that they could have made if they made it a running gag on this.
Oh, no.
Huge missed opportunity. Please hire me now to rewrite this episode. I'm available.
Just this one.
This is the biggest mistake I've found in this whole show so far. The only thing that I would revise is making it the polka episode, just to make everyone say that a bunch of times. The only other notable thing here is we do get confirmation that Eddie is currently 21 as of this episode.
I have the answer.
I don't know if he has a birthday in the 6 months that takes place between now and the end of the series, despite the fact that it's just a few episodes away. But he is 21, which gives us a pretty good indication of, I think, where the rest of the family is. If, in fact, he is the oldest sibling, which we don't necessarily 100% know right now. Question corner.
I have a question.
How old is anyone except for Eddie?
I don't know. Every time, I mean, it's not just this show. It's every show does this. And I always think about the movie Walk Hard, the classic. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, starring the great John C. Reilly. I think this is like the first 10 minutes of the movie where they get very meta, and it's great. Where they poke fun at all of the leads being like 10 years older than the high school they're supposed to be attending. Where
he has like
Dewey's like dating a girl, and what does she say? She's like, "I'm Dewey's 16-year-old girlfriend," and it's like clear that they're both much older than that.
An early Kristen Wiig performance.
Yeah, and they like have like 3 kids already, and she's like, "I'm just a stay-at-home 18-year-old mom. I don't know what I'm doing." That movie is better than.
So yeah, it's not just it's every show does that casting, but I always think of Walk Hard. Always, anytime I'm like, you're not high. That's not possible.
There is a scene between Maxine and Laura that's basically nothing other than Laura saying, "I don't want to go to this thing," and Maxine saying, "You should," but basically in order to scare her straight and to say, "This is the life you're signing up for." And this is where they call out, they say Urkel is, that Laura is signing up for a bug collecting, cheese eating, haha, snorting life.
It is, let's get it right here.
Okay, please.
The facts matter. No, it's just a package at the end.
Package, yes, the haha, snorting package. And Laura gets her hair all dyed green. There is a stray line in here that Laura says that the way that she would turn Steve down is, "Sorry, I'm due back on planet Earth," because he's crazy. Yep. His head is in the moon, and I was like, it's a variant of Earth to Steve or whatever. But that is unintentionally prescient, right? Like they didn't think about that. There's no way.
I bet they have the season mapped out.
I'm not sure about that, but it is possible, I guess.
But yeah, I also that line that Maxine throws out there, the weird bug collecting, cheese eating, ha snorting package. I mean, that's. I've been looking for the winning way to describe myself on the dating apps and whatnot, and I got it now. So.
Oh man.
So thank you. Family Matters.
I will not change our Twitter bio and snake that from you. So if you need to put it on Tinder first, I will not steal that joke from you before this episode publishes. As I said, that scene is basically nothing. So we move on to Eddie's apartment. He is painting the apartment, which, in my experience, often a no-no, but apparently fine in Chicago.
I feel like usually they're like, hell no, you can't even hang anything up on these walls.
Yeah, he is painting.
You have to submit 10 pages of your life story and why you think it's important for you to hang up this poster of Hot Rod that I have on my wall. Shout out to Hot Rod.
Also a much better movie than I think anyone remembers.
Yeah.
Super underrated.
It's not... I'm not even sure that I would say it's good, but I love it. It's really fun.
I will say it's good. It is a fantastic movie.
It definitely has some all-timers in it. Shout out to Hot Rod, all the Lonely Island. I know.
Shout out Cool Beans.
I know you guys listen. We really appreciate the support. If you could throw like 1 or 100 retweets on anything that we do, we really appreciate it, fellas. This apartment was huge, and I like this set. I have to think that they're planning on shooting more here, like when they are building it and stuff, or something, or they're like reusing some other house set that they've already built.
Oh, I got a new segment for you. Are you ready?
Hit me.
It's trivia.
We didn't talk about this.
You did not submit to the apartment board your written request to hang up this poster of a trivia game.
Okay, John, did you recognize the exterior of the apartment?
Oh, because they do, right, they do an establishing shot with like some stores, and then there's walk-up apartments above it.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exterior shot. They show
it a couple times
Mm-hmm.
for a very specific reason. What's your guess?
I don't know. My only guess is like Perfect Strangers. Like it's yeah.
Is it really?
It's the exact same exterior from the Perfect Strangers apartment.
Because they're the first. Is it like the first? I think 2 seasons of Perfect Strangers. They live above the store that they work in.
Okay.
Is it that store?
I have no
It's
idea.
like an electronics store.
I didn't know
But anyway,
Perfect
okay.
Strangers was a show until we talked about how this is a spin-off of Perfect Strangers.
That is very. That's probably for the best. But well, what do I win? What's the prize?
You get to keep your hot rod poster up.
For one more
I'm
day.
scared. Were you gonna?
we're
Were you gonna break into my apartment and
I would wear a mask.
through my balcony and just take it away in the middle of the night?
Look, everyone's wearing masks now.
No more hot rod for you.
Robbery has become much more feasible all of a sudden.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, that's the only guess I had. It's got to be like a connection to Perfect
That's really
Strangers
smart.
somehow.
I want to believe that they did that as a but I also believe that they just had that canned footage and were like, oh, here's this bin that says exterior apartment. Let's use that. I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Save that money.
This is also a scene that basically has no purpose existing in this episode. Like, so much of this episode just seems like setup for stuff that later kind of pays off, but also doesn't. And so all it is Carl comes over, Eddie hoodwinks him into helping him paint. Carl thinks that the place is shitty. It's super not. And there's 2 Bulls cheerleaders who live that he can see through the window, and it's not clear if there's like a weird like extra pervy element to it of like are like obviously spying on people bad already, but it seems like they might also just like be running around in lingerie or something. Like the way that they're like, oh yeah, nice Bulls cheerleaders. Like people probably just wear sweats during the day. Like I don't know what you're so jazzed about.
If they wanted to clear that up, they would have just cut to a shot of a TV and it's just like a Bulls game. You know?
He's just watching it out the window. his like fat German neighbor, just to fit in with the episode, is just watching the Bulls on television, and that's Eddie's view.
Although this episode came out, I believe, post NBA season. I believe is usually over at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would know because I am a big fan of The Last Dance. You can stream it on Netflix.
Is that available on the internet?
That's a callback to a joke we did.
We're gonna keep that non-promo that we don't get paid for going. We're gonna keep that joke going.
Foolish me thinking that you were gonna somehow tie it back into Chicago and sports, and I am more the fool all the time.
But the only thing this scene establishes is that Eddie basically says, "Yeah, you can come over whenever you want, Dad."
Right. That's the important.
Well, that is an important thing.
And
because as we all know, when you say that, it will backfire on you.
It's a comedy in a situation.
Yeah, it's fine. Come over whenever you want. Not a problem. Sure.
And yeah, I mean, this is also the era before any kind of cell phones or like being able to know where your parents were because they were constantly posting to Facebook so you could track their exact movements around the city. Cut back to the house. Urkel comes in once again in lederhosen. 3J is there. Great.
Gotta love 3J.
He's pretty entertaining in this scene. I can see why they were like, we ran out of cute, plucky kids because they're all old now, so we need to throw in cute, plucky kid. We still have no understanding of his relationship to the rest of the family. If he's like a member of the family that was adopted or anything else, he's not been there for a bunch of the episodes that we've seen, including like stuff at night when a child cannot just be out unsupervised.
Well, he's always playing his OG Game Boy. That's what he's doing.
That's the hotness. That is the hotness. Urkel's outfit to 3J is not the hotness. He makes fun of his freaky draws. And Urkel puts on a hat because obviously that's the thing that 3J objects to. Ha ha ha. Now he looks like a real Pokemon. And then Laura comes down the stairs. We didn't establish earlier that Urkel really wanted her to wear a traditional dress. It's the exact one that you're thinking of. It matches lederhosen. This dress, as I found out when I was looking up stuff for this episode, is called a dirndl. It is DIRNDL, which is just another reason in my long list of reasons that the language of German was a horrible mistake.
Is that one vowel?
That's one vowel, dirndl. And I understand that English, the language we're speaking right now, is a majority Germanic language, and I would give up English to make sure that German never existed. 100%, no question.
Well, you
about
took
it.
Latin, so you'll be fine.
I am biased toward the Romance languages. We get some German right now. Urkel is quite moved seeing Laura in this outfit. Did anybody else have on subtitles so they could write down exactly what it is?
It didn't help, but I had them on.
Nah, his look said it all. I didn't. Yeah.
He says, Ach du lieber Unguentine. Or Unguentine. I don't remember how he pronounces it. Now, I'm in a very dangerous place because I have seen the signs now, and I can recognize when I'm about to fall down a crispy critter hole. And
Well,
the amount of clicking that I had to
we're
do
here to help you, Alex.
You have friends.
to understand why the fuck any TV character would say those 4 words in a row was more than I was comfortable with. Let's start with the most important fact that you need to know, which is O du lieber Augustin is a popular Viennese song supposed to have originated in the 17th century by composer Marx Augustin, but there is no actual documentation of it existing prior to the 1800s. That's the basis. That's what these people decided to pun on. Is the traditional Viennese song O du lieber Augustin. Beyond that, because he doesn't say Augustin at the end, he says Ach du lieber Unguentin or Unguentine, which of course I'm thinking there's the root of an unguent is a curative, and Unguentine or Unguentine is a topical antiseptic marketed by the people behind Pepto-Bismol. So this is like your cortisol or something else that you would spread on a wound or a rash that would make it feel better and prevent infection. It was one of the first things ever marketed to keep people sterile during surgery. So this joke by these motherfuckers is in German and is a combination of a popular Viennese song that may have originated as early as the 1600s and a topical antiseptic that was first marketed in the late 1800s. And I'm
So are they
so mad.
Are they throwing shade then? Are they throwing shade? Are they saying this song makes us sick? We don't like the song? Are they? I think they're playing like 3-dimensional chess over there, and they're throwing some serious shade at that song.
My brain is playing checkers on the bottom of one of those boards that is floating in space, and it's not magnetic. I am trying to hold up the pieces and still Move them across the board.
I'm having a real Malox moment right now.
Oh fuck! That was like relevant
no.
at that. I felt crazier every further fact that I found out about this goddamn joke, and it goes by so fast. Like there's no reason why anybody would have thought that was funny when they heard it on live TV.
I got a mini crispy critter hole because in this same scene, she's wearing her dress. Laura is, and she says, "I feel like I'm the star of Heidi Comes to Harlem."
I thought that was actually kind of a good joke. I didn't laugh.
Did you look up the reference?
I didn't know that that's a real thing. I thought it was a generic reference to, the like German language treasured children's character Heidi, and her going to Harlem, a predominantly black neighborhood. I didn't know that this is a real existing piece of media.
I still don't know because I looked it up and I wouldn't think it was, but the Fresh Prince made the exact same joke.
What?
All I found on Heidi Comes to Harlem is another quote from like a transcript of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, some episode. But beyond that, all I found was a crime novel called Cotton Comes to Harlem in like 1965 that was made into a movie in 1970.
What the fuck?
Which is a lot later than the fucking song you're talking about.
I'm trusting that you read that book and watched that movie before we recorded.
If not, you didn't do your
evening,
due diligence here. We need some
No.
dedication to research.
If not, you are excused, and please get back to us.
We'll pause the episode.
The only other thing I found is Heidi Klum went to a Harlem Globetrotters game in 2014.
I don't think that's what they're referencing.
Oh my God.
I'm not
pretty sure it
sure,
is.
but
God, the internet. Jesus.
Let's move on, please.
well, I thought you were referencing or going to reference the third thing that I had to look up in this scene, which is her saying that she is auditioning to be the new St. Pauli girl. So this is this is like exactly what you think it is, but there's like a little bit of history to it in that St. Pauli girl is like a varietal of beers that is manufactured in Germany. Curiously, not sold in Germany. It is manufactured specifically to be exported. Comes in lager, special dark, and non-alcoholic malt beverage. And St. Pauli Girl Beers denies that it is named after the famous St. Pauli red light district of Hamburg and claims that it is based off of the St. Paul's Friary in Bremen, which seems unlikely. Especially given that the woman on the front is wearing the traditional German dress, the Dirndl, and is absolutely 100% the inspiration for the throwaway reference in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang to a fake beer called Gennaro's, in which the love interest is in a Gennaro's commercial where she stands next to a CGI bear who says, "I only drink Gennaro's, but what do I know? I bite the heads off of fish." And this is where I learned the word dirndl and died a little bit more inside. The scene ends with 3J nearly getting broken in half by trying to take a picture. The end.
Oh, that camera too.
Yeah.
I couldn't make out what it was, but like I'm like, that's so 90s, and I feel like I
for sure
have
had
seen
it.
that camera before. I'm sure you could have purchased it at our sponsor, Circuit City.
Circuit City, for all of your 90s electronics needs, they are still filling Circuit Cities around the country, those that have not been converted to Spirit Halloweens once a year.
Oh, but yeah, it's classic 90s camera right there with like the neon colors. Like I think it's like purple. It's like a neon purple.
Yeah. This rough plastic, and it is still a film camera. Like it's not a disposable one, but it's so. This was not iconic, but it absolutely took me back to that time.
Oh,
Eddie is bringing home a girl, and indeterminate amount of time between any scenes, I guess. I guess this is the same night that Polkapalooza is happening, because we're kind of flashing back and forth between those two. And
Polkapalooza, you mean the not Lollapalooza polka? You mean that one?
No, yeah, this would be the Woodstock of polka. Now, if you want the Lollapalooza of polka, you gotta go to Wisconsin for that.
Oh my gosh.
We've actually heard of this character before. This is Greta, who is Eddie's apparently longish time girlfriend, played by Tammy Townsend, who has never stopped acting between now and then. And we will see quite a bit of her over the next few years. Not always as Greta McClure on this show, which is always fun when a long-running character has had a stint as another character in just a random episode.
Oh, boy.
And, of course, they're coming in to fuck, and they open the door, and Carl is there.
Alex.
He is... I'm sorry, as they say on this network sitcom, they are here to have some alone time. And Carl is there ruining it.
And we could have never predicted that they would not get that time.
Could you imagine they just like show it? There's nobody there.
They open the door. He Eddie's like looking around, sure his dad is there, and the whole time that's what the episode is actually like. He's super paranoid that at any moment Carl's gonna pop in because he has a key, apparently, based on the amount that he's over there. I will say this is super stupid. Carl's watching a pay-per-view fight, but Reginald Vell-Johnson in this scene and in basically the whole episode is so relentlessly enthusiastic that it is
what is in those pretzels?
It is objectively bad at acting. However, it is
I loved it.
Situational acting. I actually do. I do really appreciate.
He goes ham, and I was so into it.
He is going nuts. He is like throwing punches along with the TV. And
it's so good.
In the earlier scene where they were playing gin against each other, he does this like eyes going back and forth thing to indicate this boy is so crazy that like at the end of the scene.
Oh, right, where he's like mouthing something to himself.
And he's just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, this guy thinks he's going to take my TV away from me.
It was so good.
And it is over the top in such a way that
it made me think of like a silent film.
Yes.
For a minute, just I don't know, like it looked like the frame rate was like warped in that moment too. It was really funny.
There's a joking instructional video that Patrick Stewart of all people put out a couple years ago on the internet that was the art of the quintuple take, which is like good. It is the double take can be played seriously. And then he demonstrates every step up to a 5 take and how you have to like sell it to make it actually come all the way back around to funny because of how absurd it is.
That's so good.
And that's basically what Carl is doing through this whole episode. Is he's just going nuts, and it's really charming. And I was shocked.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I fucking loved it.
And that's as much of this scene as we get before we go over to the polka hall, where Laura is sure she won't run into anyone she knows. There are 2 black people in this polka thing other than Laura and Urkel. There is one guy who never gets any lines. He just stands in the background, I guess, to break up the horrifying Midsummer-esque vision of this pasty white onslaught. And there is one little kid. So she's probably right. and that joke, I guess, lands. They're greeted by a guy who is identified as Oscar in the credits. It is Oscar with a K, so that you know it's extra German. Congrats. His name, the actor's name is Milton James. He's also credited as Milt. I don't know if it's Jamin or Yamin, based on the spelling. It could go either way. And also sometimes as Richard Barnes. I don't know what his whole deal is. He has done a shit ton of voice acting. He is still doing it to this day. He has been in multiple Grand Theft Auto games, Diablo series, the Warcraft series. He's been in anime dubs like Ninja Scroll, The Big O, Robotech, and he was a couple of the original Transformers. He was Blastoff, Grax, and Stylor, which doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm sure somebody just heard Stylor immediately in their head and got very excited about Milton James. He was also, despite playing the most German in this episode of Family Matters, he was very soon after this in one episode of Mad TV credited only as Middle Eastern Man, which is very confusing to me. Steve saved his life by performing on Oscar the Heimlich because we need another German word somewhere in here, and so we just looked at our German joke book and came up with Heimlich. And then another character speaks German.
Yes.
And on the subtitles, it says only, speaking in foreign language.
Mine didn't even do that. They just, didn't show anything.
I wrote down as close as I could get, and I think this is pretty much what she says, which is "Bracht meine Kind auf einem Heilwagen zu Feld last Oktoberfest," which is that Steve helped deliver her baby on a hayride last Oktoberfest. Now, I don't speak German, as you may have been able to tell based on the way I just said those words. But that absolutely seems like the equivalent of we just looked up all of these words in order in a German dictionary and put them into this line. Like, I don't know. This woman delivers it with verve, but I don't know that this is super accurate. I did not put it through Google Translate, but if I did, I think I would get the exact translation, which is not a ringing endorsement because Google Translate is the Google Translate of translation services.
Well, I don't think she has another line, so potentially she could have just been hired because she only speaks German.
She has been in a bunch of other English language productions. I clicked around her IMDb page, nothing notable really, but I bet that on her resume, her headshot, it says speaks German, and that's like she gets pulled in from time to time to do that.
Yeah,
because she sells it. At least I don't know, and that's you only have to convince the dum-dums that are watching this sitcom on Friday night. We get another. Everyone has fucking Bonko Gonzo's names. Berta Hofziegler is played by Mary Pat Gleason, who you'll recognize as everybody's aunt or mom on TV. Like, she's a day player in basically everything. She also has a fun single credit description in a movie. She is in Bruce Almighty and is described only as heavy-ish woman. I appreciate their restraint on that.
Yeah, we're doing better than the lady in the train.
Yeah. What? Who would have thought that Bruce Almighty would have been so much more progressive than Family Matters?
Now, this is the lady I want to talk about because
Berta.
She works at a farm, and she says that her job is that she's a chicken choker.
And
now,
yes,
we all grew up in the 90s. This is a strictly 90s masturbation joke that was not used probably after this episode ever again.
This is one of the weirdest times to like throw a boing into this episode. Like,
yes.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't know. For me, it's just like, why this scene at all?
The whole thing, absolutely top to bottom. That
now,
Steve, yeah.
I'm gonna push back on that because I think this scene does a really good job of Steve being like a humble and like loved figure in this weird community that Laura has always looked at him like, oh, you're fucking weird. Like, nobody likes you. And I think this scene really does a good job of like, oh, he's like to other people, to other weird people, he's like a really cool, like nice dude that did a lot of things, and he doesn't like bring them up and talk about them because Laura says like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me that you did all these things?" And he's like, it was whatever.
Yeah. For somebody who, obviously showed up to be the pest next door neighbor, they're trying a little bit, especially in this pivot as they're like trying to prep the audience. Sorry,
Yep.
he's gonna marry your favorite, your first crush girlfriend. That he's like he's like this super sweet dude.
Yeah.
There's the weirdest I Am Spartacus ever.
Yep.
Because Urkel has started an inner city polka clinic program called Treetop Polka Tykes. They introduce themselves just saying the lines, "I am Steve Urkel." And then the next one says, "I am Steve Urkel." And then the next one says, "I am Steve Urkel." So weird.
Oh, did you think they were going to really do it?
I don't know. Nothing about this episode allowed me to predict what was going to happen next. The kids also, the Urkel number 1, who is the black kid, I couldn't really find anything notable for him. Number 2 is a guy named Cody Dorkin, which has to be a hard name to grow up with. He did a bunch of kid acting, including just a shit ton of voice work and ADR work, just in everything. Is like, plays a kid in Toy Story, and I guess his most notable voice thing is he was Jungle Boy on Johnny Bravo, for whatever that is worth to you. And the little girl in it is Hannah Hattai, who played a little girl on Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, named Molly O'Brien. She is still acting some. She just started back up again. Good luck to her. Hopefully this does not come back to bite you in any way for being Steve Urkel number 3. We get... Look, I was... You know what I'm about to say.
I do.
I am fine. If anybody in the world wants to be racist to Germans, I am fine with this. For any reason, if you want to make fun of German people, I'm on board. I have no problem with this ever. They are not satisfied to do that. Because we have to thank Anna Berkholtz Cheng for providing the evening's sweet and sour Wiener Schnitzel. Yeah. And we cut to a German woman and a Chinese man, and they are showing off their Chinese Wiener Schnitzel. Ha ha ha.
There's no weasel dogs tonight.
No. That's an Urkel special.
Well, I did have this thought early, which is, they're going to be doing a bunch of like sauerkraut and Wiener Schnitzel at this Polkapalooza. He is dressed culturally appropriately for that food. However, this throws a real wrench into that system. Because they would have to put some kind of racist Chinese thing on him to make it fully appropriate and really make everyone upset. And that is the most glad I've been so far that other scene where they say he always dresses appropriate to his food was a fucking lie. And I stand by that then, and I stand by that now.
I'm going to call it 3 for 3.
You son of a bitch.
I'm going to give it to him.
2-1.
Don't do this to me. Urkel gets named King Polka, which previously went to Tony Danza. I don't understand that joke. Is Tony Danza famously German?
I don't understand
that was
the name
not my
drop
understanding.
there. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, who did he pay?
I don't know.
To get the name drop in this episode.
So weird. I mean, like,
Tony Danza needs some juice.
He's like, I can't think of many celebrities more stereotypically Italian than Tony Danza.
I know.
And then he leads Laura in polka-ing And I can't tell how much of this is accurate to real polka versus this is just Jaleel White making faces while he moves his body. Does anyone know anything about polka?
It just looked like a lot of line dancing to me.
You know, classic white people stuff. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just pass it down and make it worse every generation.
It's like, it might be broken.
John, it sounds like I feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying, because I think you sounded like you were criticizing white people in some way, and I think that must be a mistake that you're making, that you don't understand what we're talking about, because that
Yes.
what is there to criticize?
Oh my God, we don't.
Yikes.
How much time do we have?
Let's say 5 minutes. Let's wrap this motherfucker up.
Oh God.
Laura is actually having fun. She is shocked that she's having fun in character and out, and good for her to embrace this weird thing that, like, if you get into it, yeah, you probably will have fun, even if you are wearing a dirndl.
I think you're clearing your throat every time.
Guys, one of my favorite TV shows that has come out over the last 10 years is Dark on Netflix, which is original to Netflix. It's a German TV show. Fucking great. I love it.
Yeah, you can watch The Last Dance on there as well.
I wouldn't recommend that as highly, but while you're there, maybe you need a break between a German horror mystery TV show. But the word darkness in German is Dunkelheit. And guys, we have to cancel that language. It cannot be allowed to continue getting away with this, because that's not right. Greta and Eddie are on the couch, separated by Carl, making faces at each other. It's exactly what you think it is. Greta is going to leave.
I was so glad to get back to this scene.
Yeah.
I really was.
Yeah.
Because Carl's great.
Carl is so good. He was just going for it, and I just couldn't wait to get back there.
Yeah, and he's just continues to be leaning forward and then leaning back and doing all this physical comedy that's really look, again, it's not funny, but it is perfect to the medium.
I think it's also the snack choice though too that makes it as funny and as innocent as it is, because
a bowl of pretzels bigger than two
pretzels.
people's heads.
It's just a bowl of plain pretzels. It's like the safest, non-threatening snack choice.
Now, if this were an artsy show, you could have done this amazing slow zoom out of a pretzel at the polka place and find out that you're actually looking at a pretzel that's a tiny pretzel in Carl's hand. That is not the show we are given, for better and worse. Instead, it's what you think exactly happens, is that Greta gets up to leave, and Carl...
Is this where we see Carl offer Greta a pretzel? I think it is.
It might have been here. It might have been.
I got a chuckle out of that too.
Scene. Yeah.
Oh, just to the expression on his face, he's so sincere about it.
He loves
love
it. He's into his fight. He's
so
into
great.
pretzels.
He's like, you want a pretzel?
He's a simple
fantastic.
man.
Yeah. He also says can I get you guys some drinks? And
no, he tells Eddie to go get them drinks, which is even
right,
better.
Yeah. and in fun dad mode, drinks means, especially in the 90s, it's like Capri Suns or or my personal 90s favorite. Do you guys remember Mondo's?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Let me tell you that I found out that one of the only dollar theaters remaining in Austin, Texas, maybe shut down now, who knows, is next door to a Dollar Tree, and I went in there one time to grab some snacks to sneak into the Dollar Theater, just dollaring it up all over this motherfucker. They still have Mondo in Dollar Trees in this country, USA, Magnited States of America, and you can get them today.
Love it. So yeah, that's what I thought of when Carl you're right. Carl tells Eddie hey, go get us some drinks. That's where my mind went.
Yeah. Even though
Mondo's are the GOAT beverage as a 90s kid. You could taste the plastic as you were drinking it.
Now,
it was so good and so good for you.
I don't want to go back to Yamageddon 2020, but the Diamond household was a Kool-Aid plastic bottles household. That was, we did Mondo at soccer games, but run of the mill, we were a Kool-Aid house because it has his face on the bottle. It's like it's a man and you're drinking all of his blood. It's great.
I think I like Mondo because it was like the underdog. You know, everybody knows Kool-Aid. It was like a 90s juggernaut. You know, I was like, I'm gonna support Mondo. I'm gonna
shop local, support small business, and for like probably owned by PepsiCo or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, their slogan definitely should have been Mondo. You can taste the plastic.
Everybody knows the right answer is Ecto Coolers, so we can just stop. It's fine. We're done.
Oh man,
I'm still mad.
This is all good stuff.
I'm still mad about Ghostbusters related foodstuffs after the only time in childhood where I ever saw a ice cream truck in a neighborhood in the wild was when I was at a friend's house, and we both ran up because fucking ice cream truck, hell yeah, dog, and they were out of...
Well, not so much these days, but...
No. For lots of reasons.
Yes, for many, many reasons.
There was an ice cream truck that used to park in the apartment complex where I lived, at the sketchiest apartment complex I've ever lived at. And I don't think you have to like pass a background check to buy a used ice cream truck. I believe you can just have one if you know the right people. They were out of the Ghostbusters ice cream, and so I've held that close in my heart for all of these years, and so I could never enjoy an Ecto Cooler truly the way it was meant to be had.
Oh. So Carl's going ham still over this fight, sitting in between Greta and Eddie, and Greta gets up, and she's the one that I think scores the knockout with her line when she gets up to leave.
Yeah.
I forget what Carl says.
He says, "You're gonna miss the fight."
Yes.
And she says, "Oh, I'm sure there'll be another one later."
And she gives Eddie a
so
look.
Good. And of course, we all know she's talking about the fight
Manny
that
Pacquiao.
her and Eddie are gonna have later, because she's giving him the look. Understandably, she's very upset. But that line just. Game, set, match. I know that that's a tennis thing and this is a boxing match, but
we don't need to be too technical. What a way to go out, because that's the last time she appears on this series, because we have not seen Greta before, which means that this is her final scene ever. And then there's a heart-to-heart, very sweet piano music starts playing as Carl is slowly broken to the fact that, oh, you and Greta came up here to be alone, and I've gotten in the way of that. I'm so sad that my son is grown up, and this is our character arc that we're having to wrap up because we don't have any time left on this TV show that I said I'm not going to be on anymore.
It was the first, so far, it was the first, I feel like this is, what this show traditionally has been.
Yeah.
And it's the first, I think, really nice moment, honestly. Between them to wrap a show up.
Yep, and it's time to clear out because it's everyone's favorite segment, Dead Dad Corner. And let me tell you, this was some good shit. He says, like, oh man, I realize I shouldn't be around all the time. You're a grown man. I'm so proud of you. I'm not ready to let you go. And I was like, no, Eddie! Let him come over whenever he wants.
Oh no!
This is the only time you have.
Oh man! I'll buy you I'll buy all the pretzels. I will never run out of pretzels over here.
I'll do all your dishes.
Oh yeah, there's a whole thing that we referenced earlier that was like Eddie can tell how many times Carl has come over because he's just left like one dish in 3 or 4 different places around the apartment. I guess that's funny. Eddie needs to do dishes. Hey ho ha ha ha. Imagine the emotional toll that this would have taken on you if you had had this episode and we were watching it the right way, and then the next episode, Carl and Urkel like solidify their familial relationship
On a train.
and then 3 episodes after that, Carl calls Urkel his son because he's gonna be his son-in-law. Like, could you have handled the actual emotional arc?
Emotional whiplash.
Yes, because this show is fucking crazy.
Well, and because it doesn't end on a sad note. I was already writing, Carl is getting up to leave, but he has already paid for this pay-per-view that isn't finished. He might as well stay. And then that's exactly the joke
So
that they
good.
end on.
Yep.
When this scene wraps up, just going back to Perfect Strangers, I had a thought where like, so they do this on Perfect Strangers all the time. I wonder if they're gonna do it this way a lot on Family Matters, where you think it's like it's set up so that one character always learns from this character, but then they flip it.
Sure.
It's like in Perfect Strangers, Balky, who is one of the 2 main characters, he moves in. He's from
Is he perfect or is he stranger?
the age-old debate for another podcast. Be on the lookout for that one in about 4 years.
4.5, something like that.
Don't even
But
joke.
no, Balky moves from a fictional country, Mypos, and he moves in with Larry, who lives in Chicago as well.
Oh, that's like this
And-
show.
Yeah, we did it.
We're done.
We remember where the show takes place. We did it. But Balky, the show is set up that you think, Balky's going to be learning a lot from Larry because he just moved to the country. But it's usually Larry that's learning from Balky. So in this scene, it's like, I don't know if they set it up like Eddie is learning from his dad, Carl, or did they flip it a lot where it's like actually Carl learning from one of his kids?
Yeah. I did hear a teacher friend recently talk about, starting the school year back up again, and you always hear that the teachers say, oh, I learned so much more from you than you learned from me. And he was like, that is a lie. You are children and stupid,
Right,
and
yeah.
that has
That's your
never
job.
been true.
Your job is to teach them things.
But it's nice, I'm sure, to hear as a child. But it is a lie. Sorry to break that to everyone now. Credits roll. Urkel and Laura are the last ones standing, dancing alone. We get the Steve Urkel 1, 2, and 3 credits going over them as they're supposed to be having this nice moment here. So, what happens is Urkel says, I love you. Laura says, I love you, back to him. Surely Urkel, over the years, many, many times, has said, I love you to Laura, his forever crush, right?
Yeah.
Her response is, okay.
Yeah, or
Hey, cool.
Go home, Roger. Yeah. Prediction.
Predictions.
I think this is the first time he says it after they're in a relationship together.
Predictions.
Super prediction. Lock this in 1,000%.
Predictions.
This is the first time she says it back to him.
Predictions. Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, it has to be.
She sells it. I continue to be shocked every episode, and I shouldn't be at this point because I have liked her in every episode. At least, I have liked the actress, Kelly S. Williams. She sells it so incredibly well here. Yeah. It actually moved me a teeny tiny bit to just want to rename this as the Laura is Great show, which I don't think I will feel in even 2 years from now in our time when we're watching her severely bully this other child that they're in school together, and she's just awful to him in many of the same ways that she is now in this episode, but they're dating, so it's more in fun. But I love her. I think her performance is great. I think the character like has a really actually good arc this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And she learns a lesson from an unexpected source, which is Oscar with a K. And that's it. That's where we wrap.
And that's we made it to episode 1. That's it.
We did it. We're wrapping forever.
Big ups to all our sponsors.
Honestly, though, like
Circuit City.
this is farther than I thought we would make it. So, like, congratulations to us.
We're doing it, guys. 2 writers for this episode. One is a woman named Sandra Stein Langford. Really didn't do much back in the day or now. The other is a fellow by the name of Stephen Langford, perhaps related.
Nah.
And is still writing and producing to this day. Nothing that, as I'm scrolling through the list, that I would want to see, but things. So congratulations for your career, Mr. Langford. This is, I believe, the final episode in this run. Well, final for us, the first in reality that is directed by our Greekman, Joel Zwick. So,
oh man,
next time we will be finding out more about the auteur style of Rich Correll. So look forward to that, and I'm sure everything will be totally different, and we won't even recognize it. It will be a show unlike anything we've seen up to this point.
Yeah, the cameras will just be flipped upside down, and
honestly, I would take it. I would accept a little bit of oddity.
I guess that's my definition of auteur as well, because I didn't say anything else. It's just you just flip the camera upside down and you're an auteur filmmaker.
Right. And if everybody does it, everyone is an auteur. That's how that works. Final thoughts, folks? Anything we want to talk about that we didn't talk about already? I mean, honestly, the only thing was it's like, this is just the Laura is Great show. I love her. I wish Harriet had been here because I really like Judy Ann Elder's performances up to this point, and we don't see her, and that is concerning me for the next episode, but I'm not going to look forward to
Yep.
I am both literally and figuratively not looking forward to the next episode.
The only interesting thing I have is this is the lowest rated episode on IMDb that we've watched so far.
Whoa.
I thought that was really weird.
Interesting.
That is
It was the one
shocking.
that felt the most cohesive to me.
Yeah, that's
so
what
far.
I thought.
This is classic sitcom with the added sweetness twist that they need at this point, especially in the arc of the sitcom, as they're wrapping things up, or at least we're acknowledging, okay, these people are older, their relationships are changing slightly between each other, and just as human beings, their relationships to the world and stuff is changing.
People hate that.
I know. I mean, I think they probably were upset because of the missed opportunity of the poker situation.
Yes.
Which is very hard to say, as is the word drndle.
We just did Eddie get the TV or not? And that we never find out.
We don't find out whether he won the TV in the gin game or if that is a TV that he bought with his police academy money. Does that exist? Do you get paid to be in the police academy? I don't know. Okay. With that, I will just say that you can find us on the internet, and we will never play polka or poker with your heart at jumpingtheshuttle.space. That is a real URL that you can put into your HTML devices, and it will take you to us.
It doesn't work on solitaire.
You can find not as far as if you can spell out with the cards jumpingtheshuttle.space, you can find us on the internet. That's a hack from Windows 95 that they never removed. You can find us on Twitter at Jumping Shuttle. No on that one because of the space limitations. placed on us by Twitter, who are forever censoring our auteurism, and on Instagram, jumping the shuttle. David, where can they find you?
DAK577.
DAK577. Lots of good Dead Dad content, if that's what you come to the internet for. He's got it lined up for you. John, where can they email us?
Yeah, feel free to email, send us a fax, if that's your thing. And jumping the shuttle at we went with the Gmail account. It's a new thing. I think it's going to really take off. I think a lot of people are going to have Gmail accounts.
G for the ground floor. We're getting in on this right at the beginning, and we're hoping it goes somewhere.
We probably should have done AOL.com.
Oh man.
Technically, you can still get a Hotmail address. I don't know how, but I believe it's still possible. And you can find me on all the social medias, etc. at that Alex D, THATALEX D. See all you cool cats and crispy critters on the flip flop. And please, if you do anything, if you listen to any music between now and the next episode, make it a 1600s Viennese ballad that will make you drift away to the sweet, sweet thought of getting topical balm from the 1800s on your body.
That's a long station to put into Spotify. I don't know if they have that station.
Just go to www.pandora.space and just type in unguentine and see what comes up.